My name is Chanel. I am from Richmond, Virginia. I am from like the Varina, Henrico area. I'm a fashion designer. I own my own business, which is called Stitch by Chanel. I've been in business for about 4.5 years. It's been amazing. So with my business, I'm the head designer. I sew here and there, but most of the time my mom sews. She's my seamstress, which is a blessing. It's like 3 generations of seamstress in my family. It's been my grandmother, her mom, my mom, and myself. I started Stitch by Chanel because of the fact that like I just know that the dream has to be completed at this point. You know, we're 3 generations in, and they just didn't have the opportunities that they made sacrifices to give me the opportunity, and I'm just like grateful for it. I normally take care of a lot of the business stuff. Honestly, I'm doing everything. I'm designing, I'm doing business, I'm doing events, I'm handling all of the marketing, finances. So yeah, sometimes it can be pretty overwhelming. So I'm good at the business. I think I would say I love creating though. I was trying to think. With creating, I feel like I'm mostly myself. When I don't think about how much money I have to make, did I get all of my orders this week? When I'm just like being who I am and just being free, and just making clothes and not worrying, oh, is this going to be in the season? Is this Pantone in? I think that's when I'm my most happiest. In my line of work, when I started, it was like stress free. Like I loved it. I quit my job and was literally like, this is everything that I want to do. I was just so in love with just being an entrepreneur, having my own business. But when you're 5 years in and you aren't making like the money that you want, and you're just making a lot of sacrifices, all you start to see is like failure. So it starts to become like super like overwhelming. No, I would definitely say I have not been diagnosed. I remember like me and my doctor having conversations about like my moods, but never diagnosed. The symptoms are like normally just like not like feeling like yourself, kind of feeling like empty. Um, this is really deep. Just feeling like, oh, you're in a well. Like, like not to go like super deep, but like you feel like you're in a well and you're at the bottom and you're climbing, but you're never moving. Like that's what it feels like. It almost feels like it's happening over and over. You can't like process a lot of stuff. You feel like too much is coming at you. Like somebody literally could be like, hey, can you take me somewhere today? And you'll literally like mentally you're like freaking out, but like nobody knows. You're just literally in this place where you just feel like somebody's asking you too much, but it's something you would normally be able to do, but you can't do it because your mind is in a well. So I feel like when I get to that place, um, I eat. Like when I'm like not happy, I eat a lot. Like, and it's normally like really bad food, but it's good though. But it's really bad food. And then I'm normally like sometimes I'll drink as well. Like that is kind of like my outlet is like drinking. I'll just go to Aldi and get like the whole case and literally be done by like Wednesday if it's Monday. um so I'll start to like I'll sleep a lot. Like I'll definitely like sleep a lot. I have a hard time answering text messages. Like it'll feel like, okay, there's too many people like trying to talk to me right now. I can't do it. Like the business is definitely not where it needs to be because like I'm getting to a place where it's literally like people are messaging me, they need stuff, they want me to come and they want me to like, hey, I need you to do an interview, hey, I want this item, hey, do you do custom, hey, can you do this? And you just start to feel like you almost are like losing your breath, like because it's just too much going on for you. So I would definitely say like me, I'm like, it's a lot mental for me and less like in what I'm like actually doing. Like, I feel like for me, like, I'll be sitting at a table and everybody's talking to me and they're like, Chanel, 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 and I'm like, huh, and 9 times out of 10 I was not there. Like, I wasn't there. And I didn't realize it, but I started noticing it. Like, I would be like, I didn't listen to anything they just said, because I'm actually like lost in my own, like, my own thoughts. Mm. So the crazy thing is, I never experienced them until I experienced it in high school, and I experienced it like 2 years ago. Like, in the past like 2 years, I would say I've experienced it, and in the past, like, I would say like 6 months, 8 months, I've been like really kind of like pulling myself out of it. High school, I think high school was when like I was being bullied, but like, I honestly, I don't even know, like, in high school I don't even know where it started. Like, I have no idea. Like, I just remember, like, at Monday through, I'm a person who like is super girly, like, if you know me now, but like people back in the day, like, they'll see me now and they're literally like, who are you? Because like I used to wear white t-shirts, denim, white blaze every single day. But I had a whole bunch of clothes at home, but that was what I wore every day, and my hair was in a ponytail. I started dressing like that because I think, for me, I was just super insecure. Like, having open heart surgery was like the t-shirt covered my scar. So I knew that people wouldn't be able to ask me questions. So it was literally like, okay, if I can cover this, then I don't have to answer questions and I don't have to feel awkward. My parents never really talked to me about having open heart surgery. It was literally like, yeah, you had this thing, girl. You're good. It was literally like, okay, we're not even gonna like tell you like what happened at the hospital. We're not gonna like, it's just not even gonna be a discussion. It's literally like, hey, you had heart surgery, and that was it. Like, I remember, like, when I'm like 31 now, I literally 2 years ago was my first conversation with my mom about like how traumatic it was, like what happened, and like like what happened at the hospital, like, like, how did I even end up there? So I think that was the biggest thing. Like, when I was younger, it was like not a thing. I was just kind of like, oh, in the wind, nothing mattered. And then one day something just clicked for me where it was like, you're different. And when I realized that I was different and other people noticed that I was different, that's where the issue started to come. So for me, they connected because I just had a problem with like understanding like that it's okay to be different. Like, even like 2 years ago, it was like I would fail at stuff. So like failure is like really big for me. So like me having this scar was like almost like a failure, but it was like crazy because it's like I didn't do anything. Like, I literally was born like this and I had to deal with this. But for me, it was failure in my mind. So then 2 years ago, when I was like running my business and like I was making money, but it wasn't like the money I wanted to make, because I have like perfection issues. Like, everything has to be perfect. So if everything isn't perfect, then it's not right. So basically, what end up the biggest connection with them is me not understanding that being different or failing did not mean that I was like not good enough. So basically, all of it kind of just rooted from like deep insecurities. And I would say the biggest insecurity, like, I don't want to talk about it, but I'm gonna talk about it. My dad, he was like huge for me. Like, I think that I wanted so much from him, that he never gave it to me, and that like everything rooted from him. And basically, that's where everything like always came back to. Like, when I would feel this way or anything would happen, it would root from him. It would bring like my mind would be like, oh my god, I'm so overwhelmed with this isn't right, this isn't right. And then it will always go to like, oh, but my dad didn't do this and my dad didn't do that, and that would be like the final thing. And then it would be like, okay, but he's not going to do it, he's not going to change, it doesn't matter. So then I would just snap back into reality. I wanted love, I wanted to be noticed. And I think that my insecurities, for me, like I said, like failure, like he was really big on like success when I got older. So like that was like what success looked like for me, was what he wanted for me. Like money, like being successful. And then what success looked like for me being in school was like, yeah, it was the scar, but it was so much deeper than just the scar. It was like I was different. So like because I wasn't what he expected of me, it was a problem. And I just wanted him to love me, and I thought that he wasn't loving me because of me not meeting his needs, like meeting what he wanted me to look like. I knew, like, something inside of me, like, just knew, like, it was either, it was, I know it was considered, I know everybody was saying they were depressed, and I was like, man, that sure does look like depression. I looked it up and was like, man, girl, you sleeping, you not doing nothing, you not working on all the things, and, like, you the hardest worker. And then like I knew that I had anxiety because when I'm in rooms, I'm less in the room and I'm more in my head. I'm like, do they like me? Do they think I'm pretty? Does she think I'm okay? Like, should I change something? Like, oh my God, like, do you not like me? And they're literally like, oh my God, I just love you, you're so great. And I'm literally like, you don't like me. So I knew that these things were like happening, but I just never really knew how to control them, or even like figure out a plan. So I would say my symptoms impacted me and my fiance's relationship, because I didn't want to have sex. And like he was just like, is there something wrong with me? And it's like weird because like that's probably the best sex I've ever had. So it's kind of like, what's going on, girl? You good? You okay? But I didn't know what was happening because it was like mentally for me, I was just like, okay, I just don't want to do anything. So like it was just too much that he was asking from me, even though it was something so simple. So for him, it definitely impacted us. But we're married now, so I worked it out. But with friends, to be honest, they played into the negative aspect of why I actually had it. Because they always told me who I was a problem. If the answer is A and I don't think the answer is B, and I think the answer is B, they would literally tell me, well, no, you need to believe A. Like if you're thinking different, that means you're just trying to go against the grain. So I realized that like what I was thinking of myself, like it's just so crazy. What I was thinking of myself, I was actually befriending people that thought that of their selves, and yet we were all friends and we were literally doing the same thing to each other. So it affected me in a way where it was like taking me deeper into this hole, and it wasn't like helping. I never really seeked help. Like, to be honest, like I know most people would be like, oh, that's so ideal, but like religion was, not gonna say religion, boop, cut that. Being a Christian has played a huge part. Like my relationships, healthy, not my relationships, but healthy relationships played a huge part, and me learning that I needed to get rid of who I was, and if those people that wanted to stay toxic were gonna still stay toxic, I had to let them go. And when I started moving those toxic relationships out of my life, I wouldn't say I had a therapist, but I had my sister-in-law. Like my sister-in-law is like pivotal for like everything in my life. Like I felt like she listened to me. Like she's a Christian, but like she wasn't the type of woman where I was like, hey, I'm smoking every day, and she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you. She was literally like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, like, is it making you feel better? Are you feeling comfortable? Like, what is it doing for you? Like, how is Chanel? Like, is Chanel mentally still there? So I think having a person that was super healthy and being able to be completely myself with no filter was what helped me, and she helped me. So I never seeked help, but she really pushed me in the right direction. I will. I will. I definitely would say that I will. I know that that's something I want to do definitely before I have kids. I haven't, for me, it's not about like the stigma of therapy, but it's more so about finding the right person that I'm comfortable with sharing, because I'm very like an open book. So if I'm going to share, like I need to know that like this person is going to give me what I need, because I'll listen. And I know I'm like the type of person I am is like, I think it's the what do you call it? It's the empath. Okay. I think I'm an empath person. So a lot of the times I take on other people's like emotions, or like whatever like they say is like kind of worse. I'm very careful of like who I would put in that position. So I haven't really found anybody I trust. I would definitely say that there is a stigma in the African American community. And I say that because as the African American, I feel like a lot of times everything is like, let's brush it under the rug. Let's act like it doesn't exist. And that's not to like fault us, because I mean, there's so much going on in society that makes us feel like that's what we have to do. And if we do anything outside of that, so like prime example, I was telling my fiance earlier, like the biggest, I mean, dang, my husband, the biggest issue is that the black woman is supposed to be this strong woman. And, you know, to be honest, like society created that. They created it where it was like, hey, the woman shouldn't be a working woman. She should be home having kids. So, like, basically creating this whole stigma where, like, black women, like, it was like a pivot, you know, us as women, like, we were allowed to start working. We were allowed to start working. We were allowed to make our own money. But when we were put in that position, we had to work way 10 times harder to be in that position. So then when we were put in that position, we had to also be the strong mother too. Like we had to take care of home, but we also worked full time. So we were basically working 2-3 jobs just to make everything shake. And I feel like having that like strong woman mentality, it puts us in a position where mentally we're like, okay, I can't be weak. Like, I can't make a mistake. If I do fail, then that means I'm a failure. My family's a failure. So I can't do anything else other than be strong. And I just have to act like everything that's going on with me is not happening and just ignore my issues. I think it's a weakness. I think that the stigma is that it's a weakness, and that if you do it, you're crazy or you have issues. I feel like my family knew that there were issues and things going on, but it wasn't like I was still there to them, because it's almost like it's not that they just brush stuff under the rug. It's like they almost don't even realize that it's happening because they become numb to it. So they think that you're normal. But if they would just pay a little closer attention, they'll notice like things have changed with this person. I think my family, we tend to, I would say we tend to make it more about us, like us as the individual, than making it about the family. Like it's always like, oh, you're mad because, prime example, like my mom always makes this joke. I love her, Jesus. I love her. She gonna hit it and be like, Jesus. My mom makes this joke. She's like, Chanel's super sensitive. I am sensitive. So that would mean you wouldn't say things that would make me feel that way. But in her mind, she's just like, oh, she's sensitive. So you can say this thing. She's just gonna be in her feelings about it. But in my mind, I'm literally like, the more that I grow, I'm literally like, no, you shouldn't say those things. Why would you want to trigger me? I don't have anybody in my family that encourages us to get help. My mom is Trinidadian and my dad is like black and Indian in his family. That's like it's a third world country. So I think the biggest thing is like, I remember like me and my mom always having a conversation, and she would be like, well, I mean, my mom did that to me, so I don't understand what's the issue. And I'm like, that's the issue. The issue is that you think that in this day and age, what happened with you and your mom, you think that it was okay, but you knew it affected you, but you would rather not address it and change it. You would just keep doing it the same way. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like they put them on pedestals. Like they almost put their the parents on these pedestals, and they almost, I don't know, it's weird. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like what they say is end all be all. And there's no opinion, there's really no like choices. It's literally like, what I say is end all be all, and if you don't do this, then it's not right. If you don't do it this way, it's a problem. If it's not done, like if I tell you to wash the dishes, if the dishes aren't washed the way that I want the dishes washed, it's not right. My first coping mechanism was handling, and it's not an everyday thing, it was a thing that needed to be done for me to move forward. handling relationships that I had issues with, that I didn't want to talk about because I just thought that if I did not see them or if I did not acknowledge them, they didn't exist. But I realized that they exist deep down inside of me. So when I realized that, I talked to my dad like before I got married, which was like mad hard. I was crying. It was difficult. But having that conversation with him, it helped. It really helped with me being a very open person. And I can kind of give you like a little bit about it. Like we were, I just told him that I I wanted him to love me more. I wanted him to be more present. And I think for him, he was literally like, well, I was there. And financially, he was. I mean, my dad would give me anything and everything that I want. But I wanted him to actually, like, his body, his mental, and everything to be present. And, I mean, as we had the conversation, I could tell that, like, he didn't quite, he got it. And he wished that he could have done it for me. But in that generation, it was just different. Like, his first thing was, he was just like, Chanel, this is like kind of who I am. The dope thing is, I will say, is like we've been doing like, we're about to start doing like daddy daughter dates. So he's taking the initiative to try. So that was the big thing for me. Like my dad, I did not feel secure in myself because I did not think my father loved me. And I think that conversation was pivotal for me. Learning how to accept things when they don't work in relationships. That was also like something I really had to deal with. Like I had to literally be like, okay, like it's nothing wrong with them, it's nothing wrong with me, we just don't work. Like we just don't fit, and it's okay. And I had to understand that, like, you didn't need to find something wrong. You could literally just be like, hey, you are amazing, I'm amazing, we don't work. And when I realized that was like big for me. And I would say my coping mechanism is learning that I'm capable of the impossible, but not every day. And that when I learned that, like, if I did not complete something in a day, it was okay. And when I started to like embrace that, like started to learn that, like, basically failure is success. That was like my biggest thing. Like when I embraced, like, oh, dang, I was supposed to get 50 orders, I only got 10 a day. When I started realizing, like, hold on, are you even being grateful for the 10 though? When I started to embrace like what I was actually doing and just being proud of myself, that is my biggest coping mechanism. Literally praising myself for the small things so that I can get the big things. A couple more coping mechanisms: I chant. Like I repeat stuff back to myself. I create organized plans. In the morning, I write down like I am beautiful, affirmations. Like my affirmations aren't just about like me, like what I look like, but like financially, like what does it look like for me? Like where do I want to go? I create, like, I schedule out my months, I schedule out my years, I schedule out my weeks. And it's not for me to be perfect, but it's for me to see that, like, hey, these are the things that you can do. Hey, you didn't reach all of these things today, but look at what you did reach this week. And that's been creating like that makes me less stressful, and it doesn't make me upset, because it's like, yeah, I had 10 things, but I did one and I completed it. And I've been working out. Working out is a big thing for me. Just waking up in the morning and literally like accomplishing like a 30-minute workout is has been big for me. And my eating habits, yeah, they've changed drastically. The advice I would give my younger self is to stop, one, judging others, two, stop judging yourself, and three, stop making it an outside thing. Like really look inside of yourself and figure out who you are and what works for you. And what looks good for you will not look good for everybody else, but don't judge it. Just keep moving forward and embracing yourself. And I feel like the more that you really like just embrace your flaws, embrace the beautiful things about you, embrace the things that you make mistakes in, and like don't hold grudges against yourself. Like you are going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, you're not going to be perfect, but the biggest thing that you can do every single day is decide to bloom. I decided to participate in the Style Effect project because I feel like it's important for creatives to know that um, I know we are serious about our stuff, but we cannot forget about the inside of us. Like we can't just create these amazing um, artwork. We can't sew these amazing clothes. We can't be these amazing rap artists. Like we can't do any of these things if we are not mentally right. So Mecca told me to wear something that I love, and I chose these tennis shoes. Um, for me, for so many years, I wore heels, and I was just literally like, I just cannot do this anymore. I really needed to be comfortable. I wanted to like just come out of my own skin. I know a lot of times women say higher heels, but I say flutter shoes. You feel me? And when I picked this skirt, I just like it for my body shape, like honestly. And then of course I have on a white shirt, so I chose to create like a pop of color. And this white shirt, I chose it because I love the sleeves. They're super puffy. My vibe is modern day vintage. I just love that about myself. I'm never gonna be just in one style. I'm always gonna have a mix. And then my scarf, these are my babies. I created these scarves, which are called scars. I created them because they represent all of the things that have happened to me in my life when it comes to me having open heart surgery, to me having just traumatic situations happen in my life. I chose this scarf because it's healing, and I wanted other women to be able to share that with me.
Good evening.